to the Caucasian race, by reason of its physical and mental superiority, has been assigned the task of civilizing and enlightening the world. Samuel Train Dutton, The Morse Speller, 1896. Samuel Train Dutton was superintendent of schools in Brookline, Massachusetts, when he wrote the ever-popular Morse Speller, which enjoyed its 13th edition in 1903. For about half a century, however, he reigned as the nation's leading authority on school administration and public education. He also had led New Haven, Connecticut's schools, served as superintendent of New York City's famed Horace Mann School, and had been named professor of school administration at Columbia University. At the time of his death in 1919, he was General Secretary of the League of Nations World's Court League, the founder and first secretary of New York's Peace Society, and had been a member of the International Commission on the Balkan Wars. He also helped organize colleges in Turkey and China, and chaired the Armenian and Syrian relief efforts. As the country's leading educator at the beginning of the 20th century, he also earned worldwide renown as a diplomat and philanthropist. For all his philanthropy and insistence that American schools teach about slavery and the Civil War, Dutton also asserted that schools must explain how the ancient Egyptians differed from the Negro and why. Moreover, as he advised teachers, the failures of American missionaries had proved that Native Americans and Africans were fit only for manual labor training, the kind of education appropriate for the heathen and the savage, as well as the vicious and defective. The white race must take up these responsibilities as its prime mission, Dutton declared in 1896. Such Northern-born leaders who dominated American educational thinking reflected the countless ways, both subtle and blatant, that white supremacy permeated the culture. Many historians and commentators today understandably see slavery as the nation's original sin. But slavery alone cannot account for the enduring nature of prejudice against African Americans and others who lacked the whiteness so highly valued by educators like Dutton. Groups from Native Americans to the Irish and some English immigrants had endured slavery or slavery-like conditions during the era of national development. English indentured servants, especially in colonial Virginia, at times could hardly be distinguished from slaves, as their masters did everything in their power to extend their terms of service and exploit their labor. In the ancient world, people we would now recognize as white endured slavery, even in England. And prior to the early 19th century, thousands of Europeans had become slaves of North Africans. The difference in North America is the unique combination of African American slavery and the simultaneous gradual development of democratic/Republican principles. Determining who should participate in this dramatic and revolutionary process, repudiating the strictly class-based organization of European society, mandated an ideology of white supremacy and acceptance of it as normal and natural. The impact of that ideology is undeniable and defining. As the popular historian and commentator Arthur M. Schlesinger Jr. wrote over 20 years ago, white Americans began as a people so arrogant in convictions of racial superiority that they felt licensed to kill red people, to enslave black people, and to import yellow and brown people for peon labor. We white Americans have been racist in our customs, in our conditioned reflexes, in our souls. Borrowing from Herman Melville, Schlesinger confessed that in American history, the world's fairest hope had been linked with man's foulest crime. Slavery, however, did not require racism to thrive. As a power relationship, it was an ancient institution whose benefits readily justified its means. Even John Locke, the 17th century English theorist who so profoundly influenced the development of American liberty, agreed that slavery was fit punishment for captured enemies. One colonial Massachusetts judge even asserted that lawfully captured members of heathen nations could be justly enslaved. But in American colonial settlements, with embryotic Republican and religious ideas concerning rights and representation, unassailable qualifications for citizenship appeared necessary to guarantee success and justify those excluded.